Okay, so here the project Pequeña, this is little childhood in Portuguese. And before we go on like to what we do in our past and our history and what our philosophy is, we're going to show you guys a video that explains a little bit of our daily basis and our structure of the project. It's the internet allows. Okay, so while you try to make it work in a pen drive and open it up in the website, I'll just continue on explaining more about the project. Then we'll come back to the video later.
Is it already?
Wait just a second. Okay, now we go. So, as I said before, Pequeña is a little childhood. We are from São Paulo, Brazil. It's one of the biggest cities. It is the biggest city in Brazil, one of the biggest cities in the world, and it is a very urban city. And this relates to our project in kind of a unique way. So, okay. Sorry guys, technology is not really helping us today, but we'll make it. Okay. So our global issue that we work on is education for all. And you would see in the video, but we'll go back to that a couple moments from now. But we think that playing is one of the most important parts of childhood. Because everybody knows that children have to play. Children play, that's what they do. While teenagers study and adults work, children play, or at least they should. But in schools, many times it is believed that like okay, we have to do
I think that all I think that all of us have to make their part and have to help the world somehow, and this is how I chose to help the world. It is my biggest pleasure to go there every week and just be part of someone's life for about an hour each week. It makes a difference in my life, and it makes a difference in the children's life. de uma forma prazerosa. E a brincadeira é uma forma da interação, a integração. É uma coisa que acaba sendo interessante.
In the video, the people we interviewed, they are the teachers that teach the students in the public school that we go to. And even though they themselves said that playing is really the most important thing for children to do, because it's through playing that they actually learn, it's really not important. It is important, but it's really not the adequate time to teach children math or even reading, because this is these children have for 4 to 6 years old, so they still can't really learn how to read. Their brain's not developed enough to do that yet. So playing is really the most important thing that they can do right there, and the thing that will most help them in that moment. However, this is a public school, and playing is not included in the curriculum. So in the original school schedule, there's no playing included. And so even though the teachers themselves just said that playing is what they really have to do, they don't have time to do that because they are doing other activities. So we, from Pequeña, we really believe that playing is really what children should be doing. Even though they are in a school, playing is what they need to do, and for various reasons. So that's how we address the issue of education for all in our sessions, in our twice-a-week sessions with kids. And as said in the video as well, we have 3 years of existence. The project was created by a friend and I when we were in 10th grade. And we passed through many, many phases. I don't know if any of you guys have been to GIN in Peru or in Grader last year, but we have been to both Peru and Grader, and we presented this project. And if you guys were in any of those times, you've seen that it was very different. So we called ourselves Broadcasting Education, and we had the idea of teaching English in a public school. And then we changed to Pequeños Leitores, which means little readers. And we thought that we changed our whole project to read with children in a public school. And we spent about 6 months reading with the children there. This is the photo of the time we should read. The same school where we were playing. And after those 6 months, we stopped the project. It was like the end of the year, and we evaluated our project. And we noticed that we weren't making any difference in the lives of the children. Because even though they liked the stories and they weren't actually reading because we were reading to them, our purpose was to foster the love for reading and the interest for books. It really wasn't having any effect because it was only once per week, and just you could see this is one of my friends. I took this picture, and when you were there, you could see that the children, they just really weren't interested. And the teachers confirmed that to us, because we went to the school at the end of the year and we said, well, how can we get better? What do you think is working? What is not working? And they told us, yeah, it's not working. So we changed things to playing. So that's how we got to Pequeña Infancia, which is our final name, little childhood, so we can be flexible. And we have been playing with them for 1.5 years, more or less. And we found ourselves. This is perfect. We affect the children in a way that's unimaginable. We affect the teachers. We affect the volunteers from chapel that go to the school. And it allowed us to grow and to become one of the major projects in our school. And we're now beginning the process of expanding even to other schools and being able to to help most children that we could. So when we decided to focus on playing, that's where we really started to become really big and to become what we are today. And our main goals for today, now we have certainly decided that it's one, to develop and improve the children's motor skill and coordination. And even though it sounds obvious that like children have a phase that they go through that they learn new skills, they actually need some incentives so they can better go through that phase. So one example that happens very often, that one thing that we work a lot with them, is that we get 2 volunteers to stay and swing a rope just as if they were jumping. And the only thing they have to do is jump from one side of the rope to the other. It sounds really easy, right? You just look at the rope and jump. It's really no secret. This is incredibly hard for them because they can't understand. Their brain still isn't developed enough to understand when the rope is coming back and when the rope is going away. So they can't jump. Just keep staring at it. So through those games, we teach them. We go through the process of showing them, look, this is the time you have to jump. Like when the rope is close to you, and then they understand and they are able to better develop those skills.
So the second goal for Pequeña Infancia is to enrich the children's Brazilian cultural inheritance and identity. So in the project, we play various different games, typical Brazilian games, like in the video you saw Comida Brasileira and Coquinha, which are 2 very traditional Brazilian games, and also the dance that we taught them for the Festa Junina. It really helps them kind of get in with the Brazilian culture that every child grows up learning and playing these certain Brazilian games.
And our last and third goal is to foster and develop the socialization of 4 to 6 year old children with other students. And this is not only among themselves, but the children with the volunteers. And this is a very important interaction if you think about it, because we're developing the ability of children to actually communicate themselves and express what they want to people who are not from their same age group or they're not exactly used to. So that actually brings a whole new skill of communication and of socialization for these children who have not developed this yet.
Okay, so we're just going to show you a us, as if you guys were actually teaching you. So instead of playing the Brazilian game, we're going to kind of translate it into English, which it would be dead, alive. And basically, when the person says dead, and you have to kneel down to the floor, and when they say alive, you have to stand back up. So we're just going to play with you guys now, so everybody gets to
Okay, so you guys saw the game was very fun, and so you can imagine how 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds get really excited with this game. You guys were already super excited, and you can see that some skills that it helps developing kids are first awareness of their body, so like what they're doing. Sometimes they don't notice if they're like standing up or sitting down, so they have to think about like where is my body right now. Control, self-control, because they can't like stand up or sit down. And also when they lose, they have to sit, so they have to learn like the skills. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the structure of each class that we go. So in a week, we go 2 times to the school. It's called School-Escola, which is a school close by to the chapel where we study. And the median age of the children that we're playing with is 4 to 6. So they're very young children, especially that like their brains have not developed and they need playing to develop certain skills. And on average, 6 high school volunteers from chapel go to this school and play with the kids. And usually between the 2 classes that we go, we have a meeting just to discuss the problems that are going on when we're at the school and if there's different techniques that we have to use so the children can learn better.
And just a comment, we said that it was an average of 6 volunteers per class, because we have in total about 50-ish registered volunteers in the school. So each time someone goes, it's not really like strict or rigid or anything. People go when they can, and this is our average, and that's what we're always aiming for, so that it's balanced, the number of children and the number of volunteers.
How we do that is we give the volunteers, we have a Facebook group, and there we post all the days of the semester, usually all the days of the month. Then we go into the school, and they get to sign up for the days they want. And so that's how we know they're going. So we'll never have 6 per day, but as he said, we have to call 50. And this is the way we found that works the best, because we need less than 6 volunteers. They have to be very experienced volunteers, because sometimes volunteers are very, like, they have never been there. They don't really know how to deal with the children. But and more than 6, like, until 8 is okay, but more than 8 is too much. Because sometimes they have like more teenagers and children playing, and that's not good. So that's how we work. That's how we get these going.
So about our next steps, I was just said that we had about 50 volunteers, but among the most active volunteers, about 3/4 are seniors. So this is why I'm actually here, because for the project not to end, because all the seniors are leaving the school, we each time have to think of another student to carry on the project in the following years, and this is something we are always looking for. Renata was actually went to a lot of meetings and talked to me, and we discussed all this a lot. And so this is a very big goal, that like not let this end by any means with a class that graduates. And also on another step is just to spread this project to other schools. Right now we're at Imaculada, as she said, and we were before in another school for the same, the children still 4 to 6-year-olds. And we have a problem there, but we're trying to get back there while we're at School-Escola. So then we're trying to reach out for more people, for more children, and for more schools, and trying to create a greater impact in the community we are in. So that's our biggest steps in the near future.
And something very basic, but we forgot to mention some things because of the rain and the whole confusion. My name is Renata. I'm a senior, and as I said, I was one of the founders of this project. And so each one of us, as we have 50 volunteers, but we have only 3 here, and the 3 of us represent something specific. So I'm there since the beginning. I created it, so I know the whole path of the project.
My name is Maria Fernanda. I came to chapel last year, and I joined the Pequeña at the time. I've been working working in this project for like a year and a half, kind of. And I represent the president of this project because I know what's going on at this time.
And my name is Rodrigo. I'm a junior, and I just returned from the United States where I was living in a year, so I just got back to chapel, and I just got started at Pequeña. And so I'm here to represent the future of the project and what its next steps are going to be like.
Yeah, so that's the three of us, our specific roles in here.
So now we would like to ask for your turn to actually think of this whole experience as if you were the children being there. So what game did you like the most when you were a child? And do you have good memories related to playing?
Before sharing, you guys can like talk with each other and see if you can remember. And try to reflect a bit of how it really affected your house.
Okay, is everyone ready? Is everyone ready to share?
So your circle first.
Guys,
Excuse me, everyone.
Excuse me.
Let's get back.
Karina.
The one that you guys play with the kids called Pequeña. I always used to play that.
Do you have good memories related to it? Like, if you think back now, do you see that it somehow like affected you?
Yeah, we still play it sometimes nowadays.
Someone else raise their hands. You.
I played a game called Kick the Can. Which is it's kind of like hide and go seek tag. That was pretty fun. It was actually really fun.
In Canada, there's this game called Torpedo. It's played while playing hockey, and what you have to do is one from one court to the other, like one side of the rink to the other, and people are like throwing hockey pucks at you basically.
Oh, is it like Sharks and Minnows? Like
Yeah,
in the
Sharks.
pool kind of?
Well, it's like you have your own.
But if you get hit,
If you get hit, then you have to be the one throwing.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that, except with hockey pucks and like tons of.
So like, let me just like grab my noose.
Hide and seek, because it was, I love the challenge of really having to find a good place to hide and nobody would find me.
I'm sure we've all played Don't Step on the Lava.
Yeah.
And the best memory I have from that is ripping up furniture.
When I was in first grade, we had a name game, and so we were all in a circle, and every kid had an animal symbol. So if you're an alligator, you would do this. If you're an elephant, this. So, for example, if someone across the room was an alligator, your symbol, if you would call on to me, and my symbol was the elephant, and I wasn't paying attention, you had to be out. You had to reply with your symbol and then do another symbol. And it was really good I teach first grade, so it's really good to get their motor skills going and to make sure they're paying attention to learn those skills.
I played cops and robbers. Yeah, I was the best cop, just saying.
I would like to share mine. One game that I loved a lot that I play like all the time with the children of the project, because I go all the days. I have to be there to like supervise everybody. So I play this like at least once a week, and I love it. It's called Mãe da Rua. I don't know if any Brazilians here know this. But we adapted it to be like the wolf, and basically like the kids, we like in the big like a gym, a gymnasium. They have to run from one side to the other, and I'm in the middle, and the other volunteers, and we're wolves, and we have to catch them. And when I was a kid, I loved the running, and now I pretty much like almost die every time I play this. It's really really tiring to run so much up there. Like 30 children for 5 minutes, you almost die already. But it's really fun, like just to see how excited they get. It's my favorite part, really.
A game that I used to play a lot when I was little, I don't know if you guys have ever played it, but it was Capture the Flag. It was like a field and then divided into 2 teams, and you would try to capture each other's team's flags. And I like the challenge of trying to get the other team's flag and bring it back to myself.
I think my favorite game was also Cops and Robbers. Contrary to Baby, I didn't like to be caught. And as a typical Brazilian guy, I also loved playing soccer, but I was never good at it.
Okay, and we just like to open up for some questions. And before the questions, just like think about it, like we're just sharing all these games and everybody's like, oh my god, I love that game when I was a kid. It's super fun, and everybody gets like, pretty excited. And those are kids, and they come from like public schools. Sometimes, not always, but most of the times means that they are kind of unprivileged, or that they don't have like really like a home where their whole family is there, where they can play like millions of games with them. And so this is like priceless for them, and it's really like really special to be there, just to see how happy they get. And besides that, they're learning so much and they're developing so much, they're growing. It's really like a priceless experience. This has been going on in like my life for 3 years, really, and really, I don't imagine living without that. Like, questions?
How would you describe as like a typical day that you guys go there? Like since from getting out of chapel until getting there and then meeting there, like what do you guys do and stuff?
Well, when we first get there, we always introduce ourselves. We split into different like groups, depending on how many children are there, and we get to know the child. We like ask them their names and everything, so we just like remember, and then we just play for the rest of the time.
Yeah, we usually bring robes, and we bring chalk, and we bring a little handkerchief for the game Pequeña, which requires it to have those like small tools that would just help the plays and the games flow correctly.
And the reason we have to introduce ourselves is many times actually they know us, but the volunteers change, as we said, like 6 go at a time. Some are new, and also we get one class. The school has 6 classes of each of 30 children, and each day we get a different class. So we don't know if the children know all the volunteers, so we always introduce ourselves before.
Does all volunteers from chapel speak Portuguese? Like if they don't, how do they like interact with each other?
They do interact. They find ways to communicate with the children without talking.
Yeah, we have a Pakistani volunteer and a Korean volunteer, and they get along just fine.
Yeah.
They speak a little bit of Portuguese, but not like enough to have like they speak enough to like
Basic communication.
basic communication.
But how do you guys organize them? Like they sometimes go out and like they don't want to participate and they mess up the program. How do you guys?
What do you mean the children? They don't want
The
to
children, the kids.
If the kids don't want to participate, since we divide the groups, we usually go like by doubles, like 2 volunteers and about 8 children or like 10 children. And if one of them don't want to play, we're like, okay. We use like, some things we learned from the teachers in our school. So one technique we just say like, okay, just sit down next to me. You can watch the game. If you want to play, just let us know. And then they since we didn't let them be like, oh no, please come to play, please, they just drop it. And after they see that the other guys are having fun, they come back to the game fast.
You said that you teach 4 to 6 and that they're not able to read. I teach 4 to 6 and I teach them to read. Have you ever tried incorporating letters and sounds into your game so that you can reaffirm so that when they are taught to read, that they might have a jump, that they might know the letters and the sounds in your alphabet?
We don't do like letters. We do like the brincadeira, the comida brasileira game, the one that they clap. really it's like association of words, and they have to like think of like really expensive vocabulary because they just have to know that's a food or not. But we don't really work with writing, or because that's what they do like in their school time. They're learning this, not exactly writing, but they're like coloring pictures and doing things like sitting down. So we mostly play different games standing up and work with their physical coordination. But we don't really focus on the writing, just because that's the focus of their school at the time. So we let them do that when they go to the next stage of schools.
I have a couple questions. How many kids from the school you normally have? The second one is, is this a time where they are required to be in school, or they can choose to be like an extra thing that is offered? And then the third thing, like in this process of creating this project, what were the initial difficulties that you had, and how did you deal with them?
Okay. So the first question,
How many kids normally?
in the group, like the whole class,
Yeah, the young one, the kids from the school, how many attend every?
about 30. More or less, 25, not less than 20 at all. But
And are they required to be there, or is it a time that they can choose to be there or not?
no, they're required to be there. Their school time. We arrange with the school so that we have like an hour of their school time. Because this is like practically daycare, even though it's not. It's a school. It's a public school. But it works more or less in a daycare manner. So they have some flexibility in their schedule. So we arrange with the coordinator and the principal, and that's how we go there and have a slot of an hour to play with them.
And then the last question was, apart from the difficulties that you mentioned, because of the type of activities you were doing, what were some other initial difficulties, and how you dealt with those?
The biggest difficulty was focusing, choosing the focus. Because first we wanted to teach English, and then we went to a public school, like in a public school, and they only had an available time for adults at night. And it really wasn't really a good idea to teach English to adults at night in a public school in like a bad neighborhood of São Paulo. So we couldn't do that, so we lost a lot of time like just focusing on what we wanted to do. And then like after we had the reading, which wasn't really working, so focusing, arranging things at the school was complicated because it's a public school, so there's a lot of bureaucracy. You have to like have entire project signed, letter signed by principal, by advisor, all this like lots of documents, so that was complicated. But after we got going, after like we got set there and we chose our focus was playing, then the volunteers just came naturally, and we're still growing. Any other questions?
If I give you my email, can you email me this presentation?
Of course. If anybody else wants to just